Hey, welcome back. We're going to be talking about torches today. So in front of you, you see the torch, part of the torch station. In my hand, I have the torch that you're going to be using for annealing and soldering. Annealing being the heating up metal to loosen molecules, and the soldering is permanently bonding two different metals together. So we're going to start with how to safely use the torch itself. So the torch itself has two lines coming into the handle. The two lines are color-coded to help you remember. The green corresponds to your oxygen or your air source. The red line corresponds to your gas source. So we use natural gas and we have oxygen that's coming through, and it gets mixed in this handle, and you control that mix by opening and closing these dials. So if I look straight down at these dials, if I turn it clockwise, so my thumb goes to the right, I'm going to open that up. Now with the air line, you can hear that. Open, closed. And it's really not a big deal if I leave that open. I'm just having some oxygen come into the room, some extra oxygen. The gas line, same deal. Turn it to the right or clockwise. Can't hear a thing. And that's where the danger lies if you leave this open. So it's really, really important to remember that it's closed when you're not using it, and you gently turn it open and turn it to the right. We'll talk about that in a second. The right strength to get the gas flame that you need so that you can add oxygen to have a working flame that you need for your annealing or your soldering. So I'm going to make sure both of those are off. So this is the handle. Your flame is going to come out of this tip right here. We do have one torch station that has a different size tip. So if you're working on the furthest station to the left, you're going to have a larger tip. It's going to have a little bit different quality to the cone. It's a little bit wider at the base for the cone of that. So with the torch handle, in order to light this, you're going to be using an electronic igniter. So I have two different kinds right here. The electronic igniter operates to where if I depress this area right here and the tip of my torch goes through that opening, there's a little teeny spark that comes through here, and that's what's going to set off the gas into a gas flame. I can do the same thing with this one. So I don't have my gas on right now. I'm just kind of showing you the motion. So I push down. This tip needs to rest right under that arc. Sometimes you get it too close. Sometimes you get it too far away. Sometimes your gas line is on too much. Sometimes it's on too little. So it's just a question of kind of practicing and being aware of all of those factors. So we're going to move this away from now, and we're going to work with this guy right here. Going counterclockwise, you'll notice that we've got some water. This is your crunching bowl. You never want to touch hot metal. So when you are heating metal up, you're going to quench it when you're finished into the water before you handle it with your hands. Next to that, you'll see tweezers for holding metal if you need. Solder pick right here is a nice thing to have to the left of your station if you're a righty. And you can flip this if you're left-handed. But my solder pick's a real nice way to kind of move something around. You never want to reach in with your hand when you're working with heat. Right here you see the annealing pan, and I have a fire brick, which is a non-flammable, basically brick, and I have a piece of copper on there which we're going to anneal for this demo. So safety-wise, before you start, go through that checklist. Hair tied back, glasses on. Your skin, if you're wearing shorts or a short skirt, please make sure you wear an apron so your skin is covered. And if you have any loose articles, like you have a tie or a scarf on, please remove that before you start. In terms of the station, make sure it's clean and organized. There's nothing flammable. And really, really, really important, above your station right up here, just right above the annealing pan, you have your vent. And make sure those vents are on, and those are located by the entrance to the classroom, those three dials. You just turn clockwise all the way. You can feel the vent and you can hear it, so please make sure that's on before you start. So let's go ahead and light our torch. So as I light the torch, I'm going to turn my gas line on, and that's the gas flame that I'm going to light first. So I'm going to turn it on, not quite a quarter of a turn. So if I look at that like a clock, I'm going to go from 6 to 4. So gas is coming out of that. I want to move fairly quickly. I'm going to depress that, put the tip of it to where that little spark is happening underneath here. If I have too little going through here, it may not light. If I have too much, it will blow itself out. If I have a draft in the room, which is pretty common because you have people moving around, that can blow that out too. So if you're getting frustrated with it, come grab me and I can shut the doors to the classroom so that'll help some. So your gas flame does not get hot enough for what we need to do in this class. First time you use this, just practice. Open it up a little bit to maybe a 5-inch flame, close it to about a 2-inch flame. If you find yourself holding your breath, breathe. You are in control of this. That's the cool thing about it. So if you ever get into a problematic situation with this, all you need to do is turn the dials. Just turn them to the left. Get everything off, take a breath, and start over again. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I know what's on, what's off in terms of opening and closing the valve. Practice that. And I'm going to go to about a 3-inch flame. And for most of you, 3 inches is about the length of one of your, fingers, your pointer finger, or maybe a little bit longer. So I've got a 3-inch gas flame right here that I'm going to add slowly, open up my oxygen. A lot of students will go too quickly, so if I go too quickly, I just blew that out. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to relight my gas flame. And slowly open that up. You will notice as I'm opening that up that I'm getting 2 different cones on here. I'm getting an internal cone and I have an external cone. So if you look at the tip of my solder pick, you will notice that there is a lighter blue cone right here. That's the tip of it. That is the hottest part of the flame. And then I have a softer flame right out here. This is still hot enough to do some damage to your skin. So be really careful about this. You're never pointing this toward yourself. You're always working into the station right here. So this is a working flame. Now, as your first time you use this, go and open up your oxygen. Take a look, and if you can listen, it starts to hiss a little bit more, and it starts to turn a darker purple. And the cone gets really sharp in there. That's an oxidized flame. That is too hot for what we need to work with in this. So I'm going to go ahead and close that oxygen a little bit. And what I'm looking for is a cone that has a point to it, but it's not too rounded. So what I'm going to do is turn down the oxygen so there's too little of it. And that's not hot enough either. So right in here. That's my working cone. Now I'm going to turn my oxygen off and I'm going to go to a bigger gas flame. If you have more metal and I say, you know what, a 4-inch flame might be a good starting point, and I do that, the inside cone is going to be a little bit bigger when I get the right mix of oxygen in there. So it's not a right or a wrong. It just depends. If I've got a little bit of metal, I do not need a large flame. I may start with a 2-inch gas flame. So when you're working with the torch handle, what I would like you to do is get in the habit of grabbing it like a pencil. So I'm bringing my right hand under it if I'm left-handed. Nice thing about this is I can do the same thing. I can bring my left hand under and hold it like a pencil. So because I'm right-handed, I'm going to use my right hand. Right hand, hold it like a pencil. It's really important that you're going to work with the tip of the cone straight down. So right in here, I'm working with the end of my flame. It's the feathered part of my flame right here. Another thing to keep in mind is you always want to keep your flame moving. Even if you're taking a look at something, you want to kind of keep it moving on the side of the block, or you want to keep it on the side of your piece to retain heat, or you want to keep it on your piece. This is going to heat up the piece much faster. So again, I'm working with the feathered part of the flame right in here. That's a motion you're going to want to practice because you'll be using that. And then this is working with the tip of the flame, the hottest part of the flame. So pretend like that is the edge of a pencil and you are just about ready to mark on your paper. That's the distance that you want to be away from your metal. Nice controlled slow motions. I'm zigzagging right now. Notice that it's changing color. That color is really important because that gives me some clue cards about the heat of the metal. So you want to be aware of that. That color is also going to tell you when it's annealed. With copper, you're looking for kind of this glowing red color. So right now I'm getting to the point where that's annealed, and that's going to soften up the metal. So now I'm going to make sure that this area is kind of to that red. And I'm just practicing circles on here too. This, I'm going to take it too far. I'm going to take it to a hotter glowing red. Now metal has melting temperatures. Copper's melting temperature is pretty dang high. If you have a thinner piece of metal or wire you're working with, we would have melted this already. So you're going to be practicing. I want you to practice working on the outside of your metal piece. Cone straight down for now. When you get into some advanced techniques, you might end up moving it like this, but now you're dealing with reflected and refracted, so you want to make sure for right now, circles, X's, nice and slow, go clockwise, counterclockwise, and work with it from there. So I'm past the annealing stage. I'm just kind of showing you how to move the torch right in here. So let's say you've determined you're done. Go ahead and remove your flame from that. Just get it away, because when you're soldering, you have to remove it immediately once that solder is flowed. And when you're annealing, you don't need to keep heating it, because all you're doing is building up fire scale on it, which we'll remove in a second. So we're going to go backwards. So in order to turn this off, I'm going to go ahead and turn the oxygen off. And the reason that I want you to turn the oxygen off first is because you're going to have a visual clue of turning the gas off, and you watch that go off. Now, the thing about the flame, or the torch, is the first time that you work with this, I'm going to go back to my working torch. The first time you do this, you may end up being like, okay, I'm turning it off, and you get this. Oh, no, I turned it on. Just immediately get everything off. So when you get into danger, just turn everything off, and you can either start over, or you're like, nope, I've double checked. My valves are turned off, I'm ready to go. Now the torch handle, this is really hot right here, so we don't want to just put it on the station. So I turn my annealing pan, and I'm going to put the torch handle in the annealing pan. It doesn't dig down, it just rests right here, and it hugs the block. So I just leave it right there. I push my starter over to the side. I'm going to be reaching in and grabbing my piece of metal with the tongs. Please, please, please. Always quench your metal. That's dropping it into water. You never reach in with your hands. Even if you've put your metal down on a block that's hot and haven't heated it yet, go ahead and use the tongs to work with it over here. So I'm going to grab this in the water. Immediately disperses heat. A little physics here. I can reach in. There is no more heat on this. So right now I'm looking at a piece of metal that's been annealed and has some fire scale on it, which you're going to get rid of in the pickle pot. I clean up my station, so copper tongs go back, soldering pick gets put away. I've already put my torch handle in, I've pushed this over. Now if you're a lefty, I suggest you move this over to the left side to work with it, so just put it back over on the side when you're done with it. Or if you find it over here and you're a righty, just move it over to the right side. So that's it for the torches right now, and until next time, bye-bye.